The discovery that changed everything. Dr. Elena Rodriguez rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the computer screen in the International Space Observatory. The numbers didn't make sense. For 3 days, she had been tracking an object moving through the outer solar system, and every calculation pointed to the same impossible conclusion. The object was artificial, massive, and heading directly toward Earth. Elena had spent 15 years studying deep space, cataloging asteroids and monitoring cosmic phenomena. She knew the difference between natural objects and artificial ones. Natural objects followed predictable paths, influenced by gravity and momentum. This thing was different. It changed course with purpose, slowing down as it approached the inner planets. The morning sun cast long shadows across the observatory floor as Elena called her supervisor. Dr. Marcus Webb had been director of the facility for over 2 decades, and she had never heard him sound so serious when he arrived 30 minutes later. "Show me what you found," Webb said, settling into the chair beside her workstation. Elena pulled up the tracking data. First detected it 72 hours ago, approximately 4 billion kilometers out, moving at incredible speed. But look at this. She highlighted the object's trajectory. It's been decelerating for the past day, and not just slowing down naturally. Someone or something is controlling it. Webb leaned forward, studying the data. The object appeared on their screens as nothing more than a bright dot, but the readings told a remarkable story. It was roughly 2 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide, far larger than any spacecraft humans had ever built. "Have you verified these measurements?" Webb asked. "Triple-checked. I've also confirmed it with observatories in Chile and Australia. They're seeing the same thing." Elena's voice carried a mixture of excitement and fear. "Marcus, this isn't one of ours. It's not from any Earth government." Within hours, the discovery had reached the highest levels of government. Emergency meetings were called in capitals around the world. Military leaders, scientists, and world leaders gathered in secure facilities, all trying to understand what humanity was facing. The military response. Commander Jake Harrison received the classified briefing at 800 hours in the Pentagon's most secure conference room. At 42, Harrison had spent his entire adult life preparing for threats to Earth, but those threats had always been terrestrial. Nuclear weapons, cyber attacks, conventional warfare. Never had he imagined sitting in a room discussing an approaching alien spacecraft. "Commander, you're being read into Project Sentinel," said General Patricia Stone, a stern woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. "Everything you hear in this room is classified at the highest levels." Harrison nodded as scientists presented their findings. The alien vessel was enormous, dwarfing Earth's largest space stations. Worse, it showed no signs of attempting communication. Instead, long-range sensors detected energy buildups consistent with weapon systems. "What are our options?" Harrison asked after reviewing the data. "Limited," admitted Admiral Sarah Mitchell, head of the newly formed Earth Defense Initiative. Mitchell had risen through the ranks of the Navy before transitioning to space-based defense systems. "Our most advanced spacecraft can barely reach Mars. This thing has traveled between star systems." The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the implications. Earth had nuclear weapons, advanced fighter jets, and sophisticated defense systems, but everything was designed for planetary warfare. Nothing in humanity's arsenal was built to engage targets in deep space. "There is one possibility," said Chief Engineer Maya Chen, speaking up from her position at the end of the conference table. At 35, Chen was considered one of the brightest minds in spacecraft propulsion. "We've been testing experimental fusion drives for the Mars colonization program. They're not ready for regular use, but in an emergency." Admiral Mitchell turned to face her. "Explain." Chen stood and activated a holographic display showing Earth's current spacecraft inventory. "We have 12 experimental interceptors equipped with fusion drives. They were designed for rapid transport to Mars, but we could modify them for combat. Additionally, we have 37 mining vessels currently operating in the asteroid belt. They're tough, heavily built, and equipped with powerful industrial lasers. Industrial lasers against alien technology. General Stone sounded skeptical. It's better than nothing, Chen replied. And humans have one advantage. We're unpredictable. This alien force has likely planned for advanced civilizations with sophisticated weapons. They probably haven't planned for a species that would convert mining equipment into warships. The ultimatum. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked alongside a team of linguists and communication specialists, trying to establish contact with the approaching vessel. They broadcast mathematical sequences, prime numbers, and universal constants. For 2 days, there was no response. Then everything changed. The alien ship transmitted a signal that nearly overloaded Earth's receivers. The message was complex, layered with multiple frequencies and data streams. It took the combined efforts of computer scientists and cryptographers working around the clock to decode even a portion of it. When they finally translated the core message, the words sent chills through everyone who read them. Primitive species detected. Planetary resources assessed. Resistance futile. Prepare for harvesting. Elena stared at the translated text, her hands shaking slightly. The clinical tone of the message was somehow worse than an outright threat. The aliens weren't declaring war. They were simply announcing their intention to strip Earth of its resources, treating humanity like an infestation to be cleared away. They're not even considering us a real threat, she said to Dr. Webb as they reviewed the full translation. To them, we're just obstacles to be removed. Webb nodded grimly, which might be exactly the advantage we need. Preparation for the impossible. Commander Harrison stood in the launch bay of the Colorado Space Command facility, watching as technicians worked frantically to modify Earth's small fleet of experimental spacecraft. The fusion-powered interceptors had never been tested in combat, and the modifications being made were largely theoretical. How long do we have? He asked Chief Engineer Chen, who was supervising the installation of makeshift weapon systems. The alien ship will reach lunar orbit in 60 hours, Chen replied, not looking up from her work. Once it's that close, it will have clear targeting solutions for every major city on Earth. The plan they had developed was desperate but simple. Earth's 12 interceptors would launch in waves, using the moon's gravity to slingshot toward the alien vessel. The mining ships from the asteroid belt had been recalled and would join the fight, their industrial equipment converted into weapons. Admiral Mitchell coordinated the global response from a command center deep beneath the Swiss Alps. Every space-capable nation had contributed resources, and for the first time in human history, national boundaries seemed meaningless in the face of an external threat. Status report. Mitchell called out to her staff. All interceptor crews are ready for launch, reported a communications officer. The mining fleet will rendezvous with our forces at the designated coordinates. Total human forces, 49 vessels of various sizes, 49 ships against a vessel that could destroy planets. The odds were not encouraging. The enemy reveals its power. As the alien ship approached Luna, it began deploying smaller craft. Long-range sensors detected dozens of sleek vessels, each one larger than Earth's biggest interceptors. The alien fighters moved with precision, forming attack formations that demonstrated advanced tactical coordination. Dr. Rodriguez watched the deployment from the observatory, her heart sinking as more and more enemy craft appeared on her screens. They're launching what appears to be a full invasion force, she reported to the command center. I count at least 80 smaller vessels, and they're still deploying more. The alien mothership itself was a marvel of engineering that hurt to contemplate. Its hull seemed to absorb light, making it difficult to observe directly. Energy readings suggested power sources beyond human understanding, and weapons that could crack Earth's crust. Commander Harrison received these updates as he made final preparations for departure. His interceptor, designated Phoenix, was the fastest of Earth's experimental craft. If anyone could get close to the alien ship, it would be his team. Commander, came Admiral Mitchell's voice over the secure channel. Intelligence suggests the alien ship has one potential weakness. The power source appears centralized. If we could target that specific location. Understood, Harrison replied. What are the chances of success? A pause. Based on our analysis, less than 5%. Harrison smiled grimly. I've beaten worse odds. Humanity's last hope. In the final hours before launch, people around the world watched the skies with a mixture of fear and determination. The alien ship was now visible to the naked eye, a dark speck against the stars that grew larger each hour. Television broadcasts showed families hugging goodbye as pilots prepared for a mission they might not survive. In the command centers, technicians made final adjustments to weapons systems that had never been tested in combat. Chief Engineer Chen ran through her checklist one final time. The fusion drives were operating at maximum efficiency, but they were pushing technology beyond its designed limits. We'll get one good run at them, she told Harrison over the comm. After that, the drives might fail. One run might be all we need, Harrison replied. Dr. Rodriguez made a final observation from her post at the Space Observatory. The alien ship had deployed its full force now, over 100 smaller craft surrounding the massive mothership. Their formation was perfect, a demonstration of technological superiority, meant to intimidate any opposition. But as she watched the human fleet prepare for launch, Alina felt something she hadn't expected. Pride. Humanity might be outgunned and outmatched, but they weren't backing down. 12 experimental interceptors and 37 converted mining ships against an interstellar invasion force. The odds were impossible, but humans had never been particularly good at accepting impossible odds. All ships, this is Admiral Mitchell, came the voice over all communication channels. In 10 minutes, we launch. You represent not just your individual nations, but all of humanity. The aliens think we're primitives who will surrender without a fight. Let's prove them wrong. Commander Harrison strapped himself into Phoenix's pilot seat and began the final launch sequence. Outside his viewport, Earth hung in space like a blue marble, beautiful and fragile. Behind him, the stars held an alien force intent on destroying everything he had ever known. The countdown reached 0, and humanity's desperate gamble began. Launch into the unknown. Phoenix roared to life as Commander Harrison engaged the fusion drive. The experimental engine pushed the small interceptor to speeds that would have been impossible just months earlier. Behind him, the 11 other interceptors followed in tight formation, their pilots knowing this might be humanity's only chance for survival. Chief Engineer Maya Chen monitored the fleet's performance from the command ship Defiance, a heavily modified mining vessel that now served as their mobile headquarters. All ships report successful launch, she announced to Admiral Mitchell. Fusion drives are operating within acceptable parameters, though we're pushing them beyond safe limits. The human fleet accelerated toward the moon, using Earth's natural satellite as a gravitational slingshot to increase their velocity. It was a maneuver that required perfect timing and coordination. One miscalculation would send ships spinning into deep space or crashing into the lunar surface. Enemy contacts are adjusting their formation, reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from her position aboard Phoenix. The young communications officer had volunteered for the mission despite having only 2 years of space experience. They're moving to intercept us at the midpoint between Earth and Luna. Harrison studied the tactical display. The alien fighters were repositioning themselves with mechanical precision, creating multiple layers of defense around their mothership. It was exactly what human military strategists had expected. The aliens were following logical, predictable patterns. That's their first mistake, Harrison muttered to himself. The mining fleet's gambit. Captain Rosa Martinez commanded the mining vessel Heavy Lifter, a massive ship designed to haul asteroids across the solar system. Her crew of 30 had spent the past week converting their industrial equipment into makeshift weapons. Plasma cutters became short-range guns, and cargo manipulators were rigged to launch debris at high velocity. "Captain, we're receiving the signal from Admiral Mitchell," reported her first officer, Tony Park. The young man had joined the mining crew straight from engineering school, never imagining he would end up in a space battle. Martinez nodded and opened the fleet-wide channel. All mining vessels, this is Heavy Lifter. Remember, we're not trying to match their technology. We're trying to confuse them. Spread formation and prepare for the asteroid gambit. The mining ships had one crucial advantage over the military interceptors. They were designed to work with asteroids and space debris, equipped with powerful tractor beams and industrial-grade propulsion systems. More importantly, they had access to resources the aliens wouldn't expect. During their journey from the asteroid belt, the mining fleet had collected dozens of large rocks, some weighing several tons. These makeshift projectiles wouldn't normally be effective weapons in space combat, but Chief Engineer Chen had developed a creative solution. Initiating magnetic acceleration sequence, announced Chen from Defiance. The mining ships began launching their asteroid cargo using modified railgun technology, turning space rocks into high-velocity missiles. First contact with the enemy. The alien fighters met the human fleet at exactly the predicted coordinates. Their ships were sleek and elegant, clearly designed by a civilization with centuries of experience in space warfare. Energy weapons fired in perfect coordination, creating a deadly web of plasma bolts that should have destroyed the approaching human vessels. Should have. Commander Harrison pulled Phoenix into an impossibly tight turn, using the ship's experimental maneuvering thrusters to dodge between enemy fire. The alien pilots had calculated their shots based on standard propulsion physics, but fusion drives didn't follow standard rules. Phoenix to all ships, Harrison called out over the comm. They're aiming where we should be, not where we are. Use the fusion drive's unpredictability to your advantage. The battle became a three-dimensional dance of death around Luna. Human ships twisted and spun through space in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully coordinated. The aliens found their precisely calculated attacks missing targets that refused to follow logical flight paths. Lieutenant Kim worked frantically at her communication station, jamming alien frequencies and broadcasting false signals. Commander, I'm detecting confusion in their communications. They're trying to recalculate our flight patterns, but our fusion drives are producing too much interference. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the battle from Earth's command center, tracking both fleets through the observatory's most powerful telescopes. The human ships looked tiny compared to their alien opponents, like insects swarming around much larger predators. They're holding their own, she reported to Admiral Mitchell, with barely contained amazement. The enemy is having trouble adapting to our tactics. The weakness revealed. Captain Martinez and the mining fleet have positioned themselves on the far side of Luna, hidden from the main battle. Their role was crucial but dangerous. They needed to get close enough to the alien mothership to deploy their secret weapon. Heavy Lifter to Defiance, Martinez called out. We're in position and ready for the debris storm. Chief Engineer Chen smiled grimly. Confirmed. Heavy Lifter. Begin Operation Asteroid Shower. The mining ships launched their collected rocks toward the alien mothership, but not as direct attacks. Instead, they created a cloud of debris that would force the enemy ship to adjust its position. More importantly, the asteroids were equipped with sensor packages that would give the humans detailed scans of the alien vessel's structure. Dr. Rodriguez analyzed the incoming data, searching for any weakness in the alien ship's design. The massive vessel appeared nearly invulnerable, its hull designed to withstand the rigors of interstellar travel. But as more data arrived, she noticed something interesting. Admiral Mitchell, she called out excitedly. I'm seeing power fluctuations in the alien ship's defensive grid. The pattern suggests they're drawing energy from a central source to power multiple systems simultaneously. Admiral Mitchell studied the data. Are you saying they have a single point of failure? Possibly. If we could overload their primary power distribution network, it might cause cascading failures throughout the ship. The plan was desperate, but it was better than anything else they had. Commander Harrison would need to get close enough to the alien mothership to deploy an electromagnetic pulse device directly against its hull. The device was experimental, designed by Earth's best scientists in the few hours they had before launch. The suicide run. Phoenix broke away from the main battle, accelerating directly toward the alien mothership. Harrison pushed the fusion drive beyond its safety limits, knowing the engine might fail at any moment. Behind him, the other interceptors created a diversion, drawing alien fighters away from his approach vector. "Phoenix, this is Admiral Mitchell," came the voice through his headset. "You're cleared for the final approach." "Godspeed, Commander." Harrison's ship shook violently as alien energy weapons grazed his hull. The Phoenix was fast, but the alien mothership's defensive systems were incredibly sophisticated. Automated turrets tracked his movement, firing streams of plasma that lit up space around him. Lieutenant Kim worked at her station, trying to jam the alien targeting systems. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy buildup in their main weapon. They're preparing to fire on Earth." The stakes became crystal clear. If Harrison failed, the alien ship would destroy Earth's major cities within minutes. There would be no second chances. "Chen, how close do I need to get?" Harrison asked. "Direct contact with the hull," came the reply. "The EMP device needs to be placed against their primary power conduit." Harrison laughed despite the situation. "Of course it does. Victory through sacrifice." The Phoenix dove toward the alien mothership like a meteor, dodging defensive fire through pure pilot skill and desperate maneuvers. Harrison's hands moved across the controls with practiced precision, making calculations that seemed impossible under such pressure. Captain Martinez watched from heavy lifter, her mining ship positioned to provide covering fire. "All mining vessels, target their defensive turrets. Give Phoenix a clear path." The converted mining ships opened fire with their improvised weapons, industrial lasers, and magnetic accelerators, creating chaos around the alien mothership. The aliens had prepared for advanced military tactics, not for converted civilian vessels attacking with construction equipment. Commander Harrison reached the alien hull with Phoenix's armor glowing from energy weapon impacts. The ship's systems were failing, but the fusion drive held together long enough for him to position the EMP device against what sensors indicated was the primary power conduit. "Device deployed," Harrison reported. "Beginning evacuation sequence." But Phoenix's engines had finally reached their limit. The fusion drive shut down, leaving the small interceptor drifting against the alien hull. Harrison had perhaps 30 seconds before the EMP device activated. "Phoenix to all ships," he called out calmly. "Mission accomplished. Take care of Earth for me." The electromagnetic pulse detonated with the power of a small nuclear weapon, but focused entirely on disrupting electronic systems. The alien mothership's lights flickered and died as cascading failures spread throughout its massive structure. Chief Engineer Chen watched the readings from Defiance, hardly believing what she was seeing. "It's working. Their power grid is collapsing. Weapon systems are going offline." The turning of the tide. With their mothership crippled, the alien fighters found themselves cut off from their command structure. Their precise coordination dissolved into confusion as individual pilots tried to adapt to a situation they had never encountered. The human fleet pressed their advantage, using tactics that no advanced civilization would consider logical. Mining ships rammed alien fighters, accepting heavy damage to disable enemy vessels. Interceptors used their fusion drives as weapons, creating plasma trails that disrupted alien formations. Dr. Rodriguez tracked the battle from Earth, her heart pounding as she watched the impossible happen. "The alien fleet is retreating," she announced to the command center. "Their smaller ships are withdrawing to defend the mothership." But the mothership was already lost. The EMP device had triggered exactly the cascading failure Dr. Rodriguez had predicted. Secondary explosions began erupting across the alien vessel's hull as its power systems overloaded. Captain Martinez positioned heavy lifter for a final strike. "This is for Commander Harrison," she declared, ramming her massive mining ship directly into the alien mothership's primary weapon array. The explosion lit up space for millions of kilometers, visible from Earth as a new star in the sky. Aftermath and new beginnings. The surviving alien fighters fled the solar system, their invasion force shattered. The massive mothership drifted as a derelict, its technological superiority useless without functioning power systems. Admiral Mitchell coordinated the rescue operations from her command center. Recovery teams report they found escape pods from Phoenix. Commander Harrison is alive. Repeat, Commander Harrison survived. The celebration was brief but intense. Humanity had faced extinction and survived through courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to sacrifice everything for their world. Dr. Rodriguez stood at her observation post, watching as recovery ships brought home the survivors. The alien threat was over, but she knew this was just the beginning. Other species would hear about what happened here, and some might be friendly. Chief Engineer Chen was already planning improvements to the fusion drive technology. The battle had provided invaluable data about spacecraft performance under extreme conditions. Earth's next generation of ships would be faster, stronger, and better armed. Most importantly, humanity had learned they were not alone in the universe, and they had proven they would not go quietly into extinction. The stars held dangers, but they also held possibilities. The species that had dismissed humans as primitives had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating determination, creativity, and the willingness to fight for home. Earth was no longer just another world to be harvested. It was a planet that fought back. Valdez smiled, understanding the deeper meaning of the question. Elder, we come from a world that spent millennia trying to kill us. We learned that sometimes the only way to preserve life is to embrace the forces that threaten it. Your world will heal, and it will be stronger for having survived this trial. The restoration process took 6 weeks. Human environmental engineers worked alongside Thalassian biotechnicians to restore the planet's natural chemical balance. Earth's bacteria, having served their purpose, were carefully removed or modified to become beneficial parts of the ocean ecosystem. When the human fleet finally prepared to depart, the Thalassian homeworld gleamed blue-green once again beneath its sun. But now it carried traces of Earth in its oceans, controlled adaptations that would forever protect it from similar nanite attacks. The galaxy takes notice. The return journey to Earth was marked by constant communication from across the galaxy. The news of humanity's success had spread through Galactic Federation channels, creating the first real diplomatic crisis the organization had faced in centuries. Admiral Hayes, came the transmission from the Arcadian High Council. The Federation demands an explanation for humanity's unilateral action in the Kepler system. Hayes, seated in her command chair aboard the UES Leviathan, responded with the same steady tone she had used throughout the crisis. Counselor, we responded to a distress call. The Federation's response protocols would have arrived too late. Your methods were unorthodox, came the reply from a Dorvan representative. No civilized species would consider environmental warfare as a rescue technique. Then perhaps, Hayes replied, no civilized species comes from a world that taught them such techniques were sometimes necessary for survival. The communication ended abruptly, but within days, new channels opened. The Thalassians had formally petitioned to join the Galactic Federation with humanity as their sponsors. 3 other aquatic species, impressed by the rescue, requested technology exchanges with Earth. Most significantly, the Kepler Accords were proposed, a new set of emergency response protocols that would allow for immediate action in planetary extinction scenarios. Captain Valdez stood on the observation deck of the Leviathan as Earth came into view. The blue-green marble of humanity's homeworld had never looked more beautiful or more significant. They had left as representatives of a young species trying to find its place among the stars. They were returning as the people who had proven that sometimes being from a death world was exactly what the galaxy needed. In the weeks that followed, xenobiologists would catalog the unique adaptations that Earth's harsh environment had bred into humanity. Military strategists would study the unconventional tactics that had saved an entire civilization. Philosophers would debate the ethics of destruction as salvation. But for the 200,000 humans who had answered an alien distress call with everything they had, the lesson was simpler. When someone cries for help across the void, humans answer. And sometimes, the strength born from surviving a hostile world is exactly what's needed to save a gentle one. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. And perhaps more importantly, Earth would never again doubt its place among the stars.